Hey, good to have you here. I'm going to be straight with you. I know a lot of Chiefs fans are tense right now. That ugly loss to Buffalo stung, and seeing starters out on the O-line and our RB hurt didn't help. But before you start writing the season off, let me lay out the reality in plain terms so you can calm down, lean in, and watch how this usually plays out for KC. First, this franchise has a pattern. When pressure spikes, the team tends to perform better, not worse. You don't get consistent success. 3 Super Bowl contending seasons in almost a decade, without a core culture that knows how to respond when things go sideways. Mahomes, Reed, and the staff have been through these stretches. Adversity isn't foreign. It's familiar territory. Second, context matters. The early schedule was brutal. Eagles, Chargers, Bills, teams that can expose you when your O-line is compromised. Those losses aren't indicators of collapse so much as they are snapshots taken under unfavorable circumstances. Injuries are flukes that happen every year. The key is whether the team can plug those holes and adapt. Historically, this roster and coaching group do exactly that. Finally, the numbers the other teams are posting look impressive on the surface, but depth, experience, and the ability to adjust on film over a long season matter more than a hot start. That's the edge I'm banking on for KC. Quick interaction. Before we dive into the team-by-team breakdown, I want to know how you feel. On a scale from 1 to 10, how worried are you about the Chiefs? Drop your number in the comments. If you're enjoying this breakdown and want more weekly analysis, hit subscribe. We're pushing to 6,000 subscribers, and every new sub helps us keep this community strong. Let's talk about the Las Vegas Raiders, a team that, honestly, might be the perfect example of what happens when talent doesn't translate into structure. They're sitting at 2-7, and if it weren't for the New York Jets, they'd be dead last in the AFC. Raiders fans might try to argue otherwise, but the numbers don't lie. Statistically, their offense ranks 29th in the league when you average points per game and total yards. That's bottom-tier football. Their defense? Sitting around 18th, which might sound okay until you realize they're constantly being forced back onto the field because the offense can't move the ball. When your defense is on the field that often, those rankings start to dip fast. This is a team that doesn't just have weaknesses. They have no way to hide them. Poor offensive identity, inconsistent play calling, and leadership that hasn't found any real rhythm. Remember, this is a franchise that keeps hitting reset with coaching changes, quarterback swaps, and new eras that never seem to last more than a season or two. You can't build momentum if you never stick to a plan. Sure, they've got some bright spots. Max Crosby remains one of the most relentless edge rushers in football, and rookie tight end Brock Bowers has the kind of raw talent that could turn into something special. But the conversation around those guys isn't, how do we build around them? It's, what kind of trade haul could we get for them in the offseason? That tells you everything you need to know about where this organization's head is at. It's hard to say it any other way. The Raiders are terrible right now. And it's not just because of talent. It's because they lack cohesion, direction, and confidence in their identity. If I had to put a number on it, I see them finishing 4-13, locked at the bottom of the AFC West again. Quick question for you. Do you think the Raiders should just blow it all up and start from scratch next year? Type yes or no in the comments because honestly, I can't see another way forward for them. And hey, if you like these team-by-team breakdowns, make sure to like this video. It tells me to keep producing deeper stat dives like this. Alright, now let's move on to the good stuff, our Kansas City Chiefs. Up next, we're breaking down exactly why I believe this team is about to remind the NFL who runs the AFC West. Alright, now let's talk about the part you've been waiting for. Our Kansas City Chiefs. The defending champs aren't where they usually are halfway through the season, and yeah, that feels strange. This is the first time in years the mid-season standings haven't clearly shown KC sitting on top of the AFC West. But here's the thing. We've been here before. Every time people start doubting, the Chiefs do what they always do. They figure it out and come back swinging. Let's start with what's real. The Chiefs have faced an early gauntlet. They've gone up against the Eagles, the Chargers, and the Bills. Three teams that would test any contender. That stretch alone could rattle a less disciplined organization. But here's what sets KC apart. When the pressure hits, they elevate. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones have built a culture where adversity isn't a roadblock. It's the spark that ignites them. You saw it last season and the season before that. When everyone else starts panicking about dropped passes or injuries, this group keeps its focus. That's the mark of a dynasty. Not just winning, but responding to chaos with calm and precision. Now, let's talk numbers. The Chiefs currently sit with a top 6 offense and a top 5 defense in the league. A rare balance in today's NFL. Even in games where the offense stalls, the defense steps up to keep the score close. And when the defense struggles, Mahomes does what Mahomes does, makes magic happen. It's not flashy dominance week to week, but it's sustainable success built on resilience and adjustments. Injuries have definitely played a role. During that loss to Buffalo, 3 starting offensive linemen were out, plus the starting running back. You try keeping pace with a playoff-caliber team while missing that much protection. Up front, it's rough. But here's the key detail. All 4 of those players are expected to return healthy for the upcoming game against Denver. That's huge. And speaking of Denver, that matchup could define the entire AFC West race. If Kansas City walks into Mile High and takes that win, the division practically tilts back in our favor. That game could swing playoff seeding, confidence, and momentum for the second half of the season. But even beyond that, look at the remaining schedule. It's not easy, but it's manageable. The Titans and Texans are what I'd call get-right games, chances to fine-tune the offense and build rhythm. The real tests will be the Colts, Chargers, and Broncos rematches. Win 2 out of those 3, and you're staring at a 12-5 finish, maybe even better if the chips fall right. And honestly, it might just be the red and gold talking, but I've got complete faith in this squad. Andy Reid is still one of the best coaches in football, and Mahomes is still that guy. This team doesn't fold when things get tough. They sharpen up. If history has shown us anything, it's that betting against the Chiefs when they're under pressure is a fool's move. So here's what I want to know from you. Who do you think needs to come back hottest after the bye week? Is it one of those linemen? Maybe the running back? Drop the name in the comments, and let's see who the fan base thinks is the biggest difference maker. And if you're still with me, hit that subscribe button. Let's get this community to 6,000 subscribers strong. We've got more breakdowns, predictions, and game analysis coming every week. All right, next we'll talk about the team that's always confusing. The Los Angeles Chargers. On paper, they look loaded. Now let's shift gears to the Los Angeles Chargers, the team that's always a mystery box. They're sitting at 6-3, and at first glance, that looks great. They've beaten some real competition, including the Chiefs and the Broncos, and they even started the year 3-0 with a sweep across the division. On paper, this team should be terrifying. But as every NFL fan knows, what's on paper doesn't always translate on Sundays. Here's the thing. I can't figure out this team, and apparently, neither can they. They're sitting right on the edge between legit contender and total letdown. Sure, they've had impressive wins, but then they'll barely squeak past a team like the Dolphins by 2 points, or stumble through games they should dominate. That inconsistency is what separates good teams from dangerous teams. And right now, the Chargers don't look dangerous. They look unstable. Head coach Jim Harbaugh deserves credit for reshaping the team culture. He's brought energy, discipline, and a sense of identity they didn't have before. But here's where things start to fall apart: the injuries. Losing Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, both cornerstone tackles, for the rest of the season is brutal. When your offensive line collapses, so does your quarterback's confidence. And for Justin Herbert, that's a real problem. Herbert's game thrives on timing and trust in his protection. When the pocket breaks down, he reverts to what he knows, relying on his arm strength and mobility to create something out of nothing. The problem? That kind of backyard football works once in a while, but not over a long season. Defenses adjust, film piles up, and suddenly those hero plays turn into turnovers and stalled drives. The Chargers have the 10th or 11th best offense and 9th best defense in the NFL, so the talent's clearly there. They're balanced, they're skilled, and Harbaugh's system fits the personnel well. But balance isn't the same as resilience. When a team faces adversity, injuries, fatigue, defensive counters, that's when their identity gets tested. And I just don't see enough depth or toughness to survive that stretch without key protection up front. I'll say this: on paper, they're the most complete team outside Kansas City in the AFC West. But paper doesn't win football games. Experience, leadership, and adaptability do. And those are the three things KC has in spades that LA still lacks. I'm predicting the Chargers end the season 11-6, fighting for a wild card spot, but falling short of truly challenging for the division crown. Here's where I want your take. Do you think Justin Herbert can carry the Chargers through the rest of the season without his starting tackles? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to see how confident you are in that offense holding up. And hey, if you're enjoying this breakdown so far, make sure you like this video. It really helps push it out to more Chiefs fans like you. Plus, it tells YouTube that KC Nation shows up when we talk real football. Next up, we're heading to Denver. A team off to a red-hot start but maybe peaking too early. All right, last stop, the Denver Broncos. I'll be honest, they've been impressive. An 8-2 start, or whatever the record was, when this video dropped, isn't a fluke. Their defense has looked elite, and they've found playmakers across the board. Sean Payton injected life into this roster, and the buy-in shows. But impressive starts don't always equal sustainable championship runs, and there are a few reasons I'm skeptical they can hold this pace. First, the defense is legitimately top tier. That's a foundation you can build a season on. They pressure quarterbacks, they tackle well, and they've created splash plays when it counts. But offense is where questions live. The quarterback has flashed, and yes, he's made big plays, but I'm not convinced he's proven he can consistently elevate the team when the games get nastier and the spotlight gets brighter. Quarterback poise in late season, playoff-type moments is a distinct skill. Experience matters. Second, opponents adapt. Teams are watching tape. As the season moves forward, coaching staffs find patterns. They scheme specific looks to take away your strengths, and if you don't have the depth or the variety to counterpunch, those early season wrinkles get ironed out. The Broncos have some holes that opponents can exploit, especially if injuries creep in, or if their offensive game plan becomes too predictable. Third, that upcoming KC-Denver matchup is huge. If Denver beats us in Mile High, they can build a real separation, a head-to-head edge that's hard to overcome. But if KC wins, you flip momentum and narrative back toward Kansas City. That single game could decide the division race in a big way, which is why next week's result matters more than any preseason ranking or hot streak. So how do I see this ending? I still give Denver a ton of credit. They likely finish with a playoff spot and a strong record. But I predict they slip to second in the AFC West as the Chiefs' experience and ability to adjust win out down the stretch. My final AFC West projection: Chiefs 12-5, Broncos 11-6, Chargers 11-6. Raiders 4-13. I believe we'll see multiple AFC West teams in the postseason, but Kansas City takes the division. Quick fan question: which Broncos worry you most? The quarterback's experience, potential offensive predictability, or late-season depth? Tell me which one and why in the comments. I'll read the best answers. Before I wrap up, if you like this breakdown, hit subscribe and help push us towards 6,000 subscribers. Like the video if you want more week-to-week analysis and predictions.